Honors Algebra 2, Chapter 4, Section 3 and 4 together. This should be really quick actually. It's really review what we've been talking about solving. So solving by factoring is what we're really talking about here. So the method of factoring to help us solve. So it goes back to where if we had two quantities multiplied together to equal 0, then we know that either m has to equal 0 or n has to equal 0. One of those two things has to be true for that product to be 0. So if we factor this quadratic, then we can find the roots. And so if we factor it, the signs both have to be positive, and then we have 6 times 2 is 12 and 6 plus 2 is 8. So that factors. If we're finding the roots, the word roots, we can also have the word 0, solution, x-intercept. These are all meaning the same thing. Really the y value is 0. And so we'll show you how to represent these different things a little different, how you show your solution, but the setup is the same, where you set each quantity equal to 0. Then you solve. So x is -6 or x is -2. Now, these will be the roots. We could write it as points, like -6, 0. That would be the x-intercept. -2, 0. Those are the x-intercepts. So 0 solutions. We also can write factors. That's the other one I was meaning to say, factors. And that's up here. These are the factors of it. So these all mean the same thing. Factors, x-intercept, solution, 0, roots. So let's now solve or find the 0 or the solution or the roots. The x-intercept and the factors, the answer is actually written in a different form. So these are really the ones that be the identical meaning. And so if I'm looking at this one, I first look for the GCF. There's not one. And so I have to break it up. And this one's going to be a little more complicated. So I have x and x. I know my signs are plus and plus. Now I'm looking at what multiplies to be 6, but adds to be 37 with OI. And I know my a values here. These numbers in front here have to multiply to be 6 as well. I can already see what I need to have. I need to have a 6 and a 1. The reason why I know that is because when I do OI, that 6 is going to multiply by, I'm going to choose another 6 to get 36. That's close to this number 37, leaving me with the inside to be 1. And then that's going to add together to be 37. So I had that forethought of 6 times 6 to get close to the 37. We're not done though. We still need to find our zeros, so we set each of these equal to 0. So for this one's going to be -1, 6. And then for this one, x is going to be, if I subtract the 6 divided by 1, -6. So those are the two solutions for that problem. For this one, we're not in the form yet because it has equal 25. We have to get in standard form, which means we need to get 0 on one side. So let's subtract 25. Now we can factor it. If you want to divide both sides by a negative, you want to pull out a factor, but here we can't. But if you don't want to divide both sides by a negative, we can. To make everything positive, that will help a little with the factoring. And so 0 divided by negative is still 0, so it doesn't matter. Now if I factor that, let's move this one out of my way. We have the A, it's going to be positive, positive. You multiply by 25, and then I have this 6 here as well. So, let's see, I'm guessing 5 and 5 to get 25, and then 3 and 2. But I'm guessing this. If I look at that, it's 15, and that's 10, so that worked out to 25, so I kind of guessed right there. So make sure you always check OI. So I take each parenthesis and I set it equal to 0. and I solve. So this one A is going to be negative 5/3. For this one A is going to be negative 5/2. The next one, these don't have it equal anything, but since we said the roots or zeros, then we automatically know we set it equal to 0. So for this one, when we try factoring this one, it's actually that difference perfect squares, and I recognize that because I have two quantities that are perfect squares with a subtraction in there. So 20 times 20 is 400, and then I have a plus v and a minus v. So I can set each of these equal to 0. So this v is negative 20, and then this one here, if I subtract 20 divided by negative, would be positive 20. So those would be the two solutions there. This last one here, we actually have 4 terms. So if I group those together, and I group these together, I can then factor by grouping. So if I pull out an x in that first group, I'm left with x plus 2. And then if I pull out a negative, I'm going to have a negative 1 or negative, and then x plus 2. So then I can pull out an x plus 2, the group, that whole quantity, I'm left with x minus coefficient to this parenthesis minus 1. And so if I again set it equal to 0 and solve that, I'll find my solutions of negative 2 and positive 1. And that's it. So really what we've been doing on solving by factoring, we're just learning the factoring, set it equal to 0, set each quantity equal to 0 to find our solutions or roots. So tomorrow you'll be reviewing this in class on how to factor all the different forms and how to find the solutions by factoring. Have a good night.